Okay, this one is a lot. A TikTok mom, yep, seriously went viral after staging a pretend wedding ceremony with her toddler son. Like dress, flowers, fake vows, and the whole thing. It's the kind of thing that makes you blink twice just to make sure you read that right. But no, you're not dreaming. It happened. The mom, who goes by Savannah Jones on TikTok, had a small account with barely 500 followers and called herself a Texas girlie. In her bio, she's a mom of three, two boys and one girl, and lives with her husband. But after the video caught fire online for all the wrong reasons, she cleared most of her content, leaving only two random clips, one of her man, another from her 4 years ago when she was pregnant. Let's break down what happened step by step, because it's honestly one of the wildest things that's come across the internet in a while. In a video, Savannah is fully dressed in a long white dress gown, like full on bridal wear. She's holding a bouquet of flowers in her hands, looking every bit like a bride about to walk down the aisle. But instead of walking into a chapel, she walks across a makeshift aisle at home. Just some white bed sheets laid across the floor to mimic a wedding. Her toddler son is standing at the end of these pretend aisles, also dressed up like a groom. And he's not just standing there blankly, he's smiling, waiting for his bride, thinking it's all very real and exciting. His daughter, who's also very young, is acting as a flower girl, tossing pretend petals along the way. Even their youngest child, the baby, is present and dressed up for the occasion. It's not a small setup. It looks like something they planned and took time to put together. Now here's where things get even more puzzling. Her husband, the kid's dad, isn't off to the side just watching. He's the one filming everything. And not casually either. He's playing full-on wedding officiant. He's reading out, pretending vows, and guiding the entire ceremony. At one point, he prompts his toddler son by asking if he's ready to marry his mom. He even follows through by asking Savannah the same thing, like he's performing a real ceremony.
The allegations. This was a missed opportunity and a teachable moment. Being a parent is about helping your child understand things and breaking them down to a level that even a child can understand. This is a missed opportunity to explain to him that mommy loves you different than how I love daddy, but I still love you. And the reason why I don't think this is just cute and harmless is because it ends up turning out grown men who say things like this. On Mother's Day, Marlon Wayans reveals that he never got married because he didn't want his mother to be jealous of another woman. I've never wanted my mother to feel second to any woman. Mothers should never be jealous of their sons' girlfriends and wives, but if you never take the time to explain that, they can grow up to be a grown man who is confused. Children are impressionable, and that's why you can't indulge their every whim. You could have said one day you're going to meet an amazing woman, and you're going to love her, and you're going to want to marry her. But the love you're going to have for her is going to be different from mommy, but they're both going to be beautiful. You could have explained that instead of having a pseudo wedding ceremony.
Then comes the moment that really made people uncomfortable. The dad encourages the son to hug his mom and kiss her on the cheek, mimicking the classic "you may kiss the bride" moment. The little boy looks absolutely overjoyed. He clearly thinks this is a special, meaningful moment. To him, this isn't pretend. It feels like something important is happening. He's happy and he's beaming because in his life, his little world, he just did something sweet and loving. And honestly, let's be real for a second. No one is mad at the kid. Of course not. He's a toddler. He didn't do anything wrong. But what got people talking and what made a lot of viewers deeply uncomfortable is how this whole pretend moment was created and led by adults crossed into really confusing territory for a child. It's one thing for a kid to say they want to marry their mom. It happens all the time. It's innocent. It means they are loving her. But when adults take that idea and turn it into a fully staged wedding, complete outfits, vows, and ceremony roles, that's where the line gets blurry. And when the child is so young that they can't tell the difference between fantasy and reality, it makes it even more concerning. What started as a playful moment turned into something that sent a very mixed message. Not emotionally, not intentionally, but it happened. And that's what made people stop and ask, why would any parent go through with this? So, what led up to this? Well, according to Savannah, it all started pretty innocently, at least from the child's point of view. Her toddler son had been telling her for months that he loved her so much and that he wanted to marry her on Mother's Day. And listen, let's not be dramatic. Kids say this kind of thing all the time. It's honestly sweet. They don't have the vocabulary or understanding to express their feelings in an adult way. So sometimes marrying mom is their way of saying, "You're my favorite person." It's innocent, it's common, and honestly, it's kind of heart melting in the moment. Because little ones just trying to show love the best way they know how. It's usually met with a smile, a hug, and maybe a gentle laugh. But here's where things took a turn, and not in the good kind. Instead of saying something simple and age appropriate like, "That's really sweet," but mummies and sons don't get married. Savannah and her husband took it to another level entirely. They didn't just acknowledge the comment and move on, no. They leaned all the way into it. They started planning what turned into a full blown pretend wedding, not just a silly tea or a make believe playtime. We are talking full on decorations, outfits, and coordinated roles for everyone in the family. The dress, the aisle, the bouquet, the vows. Everything was prepped like an actual ceremony. It wasn't a spur of the moment. This was something that took time and intention. They made a conscious decision to create an experience around a toddler's innocent comment. And that's the part that caught people off guard. Because instead of taking the opportunity to gently explain family roles and how love works in different ways, they created a scene that to a toddler felt completely real. And that's when people started asking, why did anyone stop and think? Maybe this isn't the best idea. And that's where most people were like, hold on. Now, let's keep it real. Some people said it's just a pretend game, no big deal. And sure, on the surface, maybe it seems like that. But kids aren't just playing when they do stuff like this. They're learning. They're taking mental notes about what love, family, and relationships are supposed to look like. So when you turn a toddler's innocent idea into a pretend ceremony, especially one that copies something meant for adults, can send mixed signals. Here's what makes people worry: confusing roles. Marriage is a partnership. A parent child relationship isn't the same thing. Pretending otherwise can blur the line. Learning the wrong message. Kids take things literally. If a child sees something like this, they might think it's okay to do in real time. Future confusion. As the child grows, they might not understand why it happened or what it meant. That can lead to confusion later in life. Emotional mix. Children need to learn healthy ways to show love. Mixing that up with pretend marriage stuff just isn't helpful. What made this whole situation even more surprising and honestly more disappointing for a lot of people watching was that the dad wasn't just standing there or quietly observing. He was the one actually guiding the entire thing from start to finish, like full involvement. He wasn't just passively filming it on his phone, he was actively leading the moment like it was a real ceremony. He read out pretend wedding lines, he asked the toddler if he was ready to make his mom as his bride. He even helped direct the moment at the end, telling the little boy what to do, when to say certain things, and how to act like he was in a real wedding. That's not a quick cute video, it's structured, thought out, and led by the adult who should have known better. And here's what really stuck out to people. Not one person in the room stopped and asked, wait, is this actually okay to be doing with our toddler? There was no pause, no hesitation, just a full green light to keep going. It made it so difficult for people online to brush off. This wasn't a one parent misstep or an impulsive moment caught on camera. This was a team decision, a joint effort. Two adults who both thought this would be a fun or sweet thing to do without stepping back and thinking about how it might look, or more importantly, how it might impact them. It's not about being harsh, it's about being aware. And when neither parent shows that awareness, it turns into a much bigger issue than just a silly TikTok video. Oh, and we absolutely have to talk about the daughter too, because she was right there, fully part of this entire moment. She wasn't just a background character, she played the role of a flower, sprinkling petals down the homemade aisles with her tiny hands, probably trying to do it just right because that's what she was told. She followed instructions, participated in the pretend ceremony, and stood by as her mom walked down the aisle toward her own brother. She stood there, watching her mom and her brother take the center stage in the moment that was made to feel like a celebration. And whether she truly understood what was going on or not, because let's be honest, she's also still a very young child. She was included in something that clearly made her mom and the brother the emotional focus. So now we have to ask, what kind of message does that send to her, to anyone watching? Does it say the son is more special? Does it make the daughter feel like her role is always going to be the helper, the extra, the sidekick in moments that center around her brother? Does it start to lay down the idea that she's not as valued, not as celebrated? Because this wasn't just a cute family skit. This was a structured event that placed all the spotlight on the mother-son duo, while the daughter played a traditional background role that often gets overlooked. And this is exactly where the conversation about the boy mom trend come in, because this wasn't just a random scene, it reflected a pattern where moms make their sons the emotional anchor of the household, sometimes at the expense of their daughters. Sometimes it goes a way too far. And this pretend wedding, for a lot of people watching, it felt like a textbook example of the emotional imbalance. Let's unpack the boy mom thing for a second, because being close with your son isn't bad. But sometimes that bond turns into something overly intense, where the mom treats her son like a mini husband, and that's when it starts getting messy. Here's why: too much attachment. Some boys raised in this dynamic feel like their mom is their first emotional. That makes it harder for them to form healthy relationships later. No independence. If moms cuddle their sons too much, they grow up struggling with basic life stuff. Entitlement. When moms let boys do whatever they want because they're just being boys, they don't learn accountability. Trouble dating. These boys often struggle in relationships. Sometimes the mom even competes with the son's partner for attention. Daughters in boy mom households often feel ignored or second place. When the son gets all the affection and the attention, it's easy for a daughter to feel overlooked. That causes resentment, low self-esteem, and sometimes even long-term emotional struggles. It also created sibling rivalry and affects the way daughters view their own relationships in later. It's more than just a cute trend. It affects the whole household. So what should Savannah have done? Honestly, the best thing she could have done was just sit down and have a simple, loving, age-appropriate conversation with her son. Nothing complicated, nothing dramatic, just a gentle talk filled with reassurance. She could have said something like, "Oh, that's such a sweet thing to say. I love you so much too. But mummies and sons don't get married. I'm already married to daddy. And one day, when you're older, you'll find someone special to marry. Someone who's not in our family." That moment could have been a beautiful opportunity to help her son understand how families work. It would have taught him about different kinds of love, how the love between a parent and a child is strong and special, but different from romantic love. And at the age when kids are still figuring out the world, those gentle explanations matter so much. She could have hugged him, thanked him for sharing his feelings, and reassured him that loving someone doesn't always have to mean marriage. It could have been a memory rooted in emotional growth and not confusion. Instead, what he got was a pretend wedding that looked and felt very real, from the aisles to the vows to the flowers. And because he is just a little kid, he believed it. Why wouldn't his parents made it look official? They never corrected him. They just leaned into the fantasy and acted like it was totally fine. So instead of walking away from that day feeling gently guided, he walked away with a full storybook moment, a fantasy he'll likely remember as something important and emotional, even though it shouldn't have happened that way. After all the backlash, Savannah removed almost everything from her TikTok, but the video had already been saved, shared, and talked about all over the internet. People were upset, and not just because it was weird, but because it showed how important it is to think twice about what we are teaching kids, even in pretend games. This story is more than a one-off video. It's about parenting, boundaries, emotional development, and what happens when well-meaning actions go way off track. Children need to be guided with love and clarity. They need help understanding what healthy relationships look like, not confusion that mixes up love and roles in ways they are not ready for. Let's just hope this little boy grows up learning what love really means, and that his parents take the time to explain things better as he gets older. So what do you think? Was it just a silly moment, or was this something deeper? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that dive deeper than the surface.